static in here today. It's insane. Hello, hello, hello. Don't need that anymore. Oh, there we go. I put that new message on there. Awesome. Hello, hello, hello. Let's see who's going to hop on with us tonight. Let's light some of this. Just going to light some Palo Santo. Clear my area here. I didn't get a chance to do that because I'm running late. Hello, hello. Oh. All right. Hello, hello. Oh, I have a cat. Hello, hello. Oh, it went out already. Well, that's okay. All right. Who do we got on tonight? If you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. Hello, hello. Is that you, Abid? Long time no see, buddy. Hello, hello. Thank you for the likes. I appreciate that. Rebecca from New Jersey, welcome. Glad to have you here. I'm going to move this back. Usually I move it forward, but I'm going to move it back so then I don't have to wear my readers. I can actually see the comments. Jeff from Buffalo. Hey, Jeff, how are you? Hello, hello. Gonna see who hops on tonight. I'm running really, really late. Couldn't be better. Oh, well, that's good. Glad to hear that. All right. So we're just going to wait a few more minutes, see who's going to hop on, and then we'll get going. I forgot my chapstick tonight. If you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. Hello, hello. All right, guys. Well, looks like we're just going to plateau. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So if you're new here, tell us who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee and I'm from California. Welcome. Tonight we're going to talk about when the divine puts you in timeout. Or if you're going through a situation and you feel like you're kind of stuck. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. What that looks like and what that means and all of that good stuff. Can everybody hear me okay? Make sure I have there we go. Sorry, I just shook it all up like crazy, huh? Marie, hey girl, how are you? Long time no see. How are you? How are you feeling? Better? I know you weren't feeling very good the last time we talked. Thank you for the hearts. Not sure who's sending them. I'm not seeing that right this moment. Leonard, hello. Where are you from, Leonard? Okay, guys, well, we're going to get going because I am already like really, really late. So if you're new here, good. Yes, you're better. Oh, awesome. So glad to hear that. Ireland, well, welcome. Like I said, if you're not familiar, my name is Renee. I'm from California. Welcome, welcome. Just a little bit of why I'm here. Keith, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. So I started my TikTok in March of 2024. The reason why I started my TikTok is for TikTok purposes. In September of 2023, my husband unalived himself. Hold on a second. Sorry, I was trying to read a help with loss of what? Like grief. That's what we're talking about usually. Not always. Tonight we're talking about a little bit different. You're a new creator. Well, welcome. Glad to have you here. Is it Jack? Welcome. Thank you for the follow. So, like I said, so that's why I started my TikTok. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep up with the chat. It's flying tonight, guys. Thank you for the follow, Leonard. And so my husband and I were together for 32 years. If you're new here, you're not aware of my story. And so when he decided to unalive himself, he, sorry, I'm just trying to keep up with the chat, guys. NPD. Okay. Looky crooky. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. So anyway, oh, it's okay. He's been gone a little over 2 years, so I'm learning to deal, but thank you. I appreciate that. What age am I? I am 51. I just turned 51 here in November. Renee is awesome, very kind, patient. Thanks, Marie. I appreciate that. So anyway, like I said, so we were together for 32 years, and when he decided to unalive himself, everyone just kept telling me put one foot in front of the other, and I didn't know how to do that. I had never lived an adult life without my husband. I could barely breathe. I didn't know what that looked like or felt like. I look younger. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for the rose. I appreciate that. And so, my husband didn't leave me in a great spot financially. And so therapy was out once I had decided I was going to stay on this planet, because I wasn't sure that I was going to, because I didn't know how to function without him. And so, my youngest daughter said to me one day, she said, "Mom, you realize your life is worth living, right?" And that was my light bulb moment. And like I said, my husband didn't leave me in a great spot financially. And so therapy was out, and I wasn't going to go to group therapy because Renee is the unique girl. I'm the circle that don't fit in the square. And so I knew that that wasn't going to work either. But I knew that if I was going to stay here, that I had to find a way to heal myself. And so I deep dived into meditation and journaling. And, that's when I discovered that I had abilities to talk to my spirit guides, and they started sending me messages. Oh, Jen, that's my best friend. She's kind of biased. Anyway, so I only have 2 rules on my page. I just ask that you always be kind. And the second one is we talk absolutely no politics here. It's just not at all what my page is about. It's not against one side or the other. There's a million other pages out there for that, so we just don't talk politics here. I am on my journey where I am, and you are where you are, and we agree to disagree here. So if you can't agree to disagree, I just ask that you hop off and keep scrolling. Sorry guys, the chat is just flying tonight. Yeah, okay. Thanks for the hearts. Is that you, Jen? I'm not sure who's sending those. So tonight, like I said, so whenever I go live, my guides usually give me a topic. You got in trouble on your channel because you said political thing? Okay, well, it's just not at all what we talk about. Basically, my guides breadcrumb me to my purpose, which is to be here to help other people through loss, trauma, to uplift others. The first message I ever got in meditation was, what heals me will heal others. And so that's why I'm here. Like I said, there's just no place on my page for politics. I'm here to help people, to love people right where they are. I don't care if you're black, brown, blue, purple, left, right, in between. I don't care. I'm just here to help people. So, that's all. Anyway, so tonight we're going to talk about when the divine puts you in timeout, or if you feel like you're stuck, right? I know all last year, I kept telling everybody, I'm just stuck, right? Like my old world crumbled. After 32 years, there was nothing left of it. And so there was nothing left for me to go back to there. And so for the longest time, I felt like I had one foot in my past that no longer existed and one foot in the future that I had no idea what it was, right? And so I felt stuck in the middle, and I kept telling everybody, I'm just stuck. And finally, one day my guide said to me, she said, Renee, you know you're not stuck, right? And I was like, I'm not, because I sure feel stuck. And she's like, no, you're not stuck at all. We're preparing you. And then I started getting visions of my future, and I don't know everything. Obviously, we're not meant to know everything. And we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight too. I'm not knowing everything. But I now know after a year later that I wasn't stuck, that they were preparing me, and now I see it. But I know what it's like to feel stuck, or to feel like you're in that timeout, right? Maybe like I always used to say, right? When God puts you in And I don't like to use the word God, source, divine, creator, whatever it is that you say or believe. But whenever the divine or the creator puts you in the hallway, I always like to say, just praise them in the hallway while you're waiting for that next door to open, right? And so that's the same thing we're going to talk about tonight with when you feel like you're stuck or you're in timeout or you're going through something and you're just there and you're not moving forward, right? You're not evolving. And sometimes, that's just part of our journey, and that's tough, right? I know for me, it's really tough because I'm not a patient person. My God's been trying to teach me patience for 3 years. It's not working. I try really hard, but that's just not my forte, right? So, like I said, so that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So if you feel like you're stuck, sometimes what's happening is several things, right? We're going to talk about you're learning to not control everything. You're learning who you are. Maybe you're learning faith in your journey and how to just go with the flow. Learning to love you. Learning to find your joy. Learning to find patience. Learning to find passion. What is your passion, right? So these are some of the reasons why the divine, the creator, my glasses are always dirty, will put us in that timeout, right? Thank you for all the likes. I'm not sure who's sending them. I haven't been paying attention. I'm sorry, guys. Really bad tonight about that. So if you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. So these are many different reasons why that you can feel like divine, God, universe, whatever it is, will put you in timeout. And sometimes you're just being prepared for that next door, that next chapter, right? So like I was saying, I felt stuck. Well, what was going on for me? Sorry, I gotta take these off. They're driving me crazy. They're so scratched. But I have to see them to read my notebook. So like I said, in my case, I felt stuck, right? And so knowing what I know of my future and those visions that I'm having and knowing what I went through. So for example, when my husband was sick and, I was online and I was going live every day talking about when my husband was in the hospital. If you're not aware, he was there for 88 days. And so it became quite a journey, and it was just easier to get on a Facebook Live and talk to people versus trying to call everybody and say, this is what's going on today and blah, 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 right? And so I would get on a Facebook Live. Well, I would have people get on and comment and say mean things to me and were, really mean to me. And at that time, I took all of that very, very personal. And so after he got out of the hospital and started to get better, I literally took our accounts and went completely private with everything because I didn't know how to deal with people's comments, right? And so you're like, okay, now I'm talking to how many thousands of people, But that's one of the things that they prepared me for, right? They were showing me how to have a thick skin. So when in December of 2023, and my guide said, you're going to get online and you're going to tell your story and your all of your accounts have to be completely public. And I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. And a month later it happened. And, I was doing reels on Instagram and all of these places. And then, they kept telling me, you need to go on to TikTok. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't know how to do that, first of all. And second of all, I don't want to do that, right? Because I knew when my husband was sick that I could not handle that. And what I didn't realize and what I know now is I was being prepared. I was being prepared for this journey. They were preparing me to have a thick skin and be able to. So now if you say something rude to me, guess what? I'm just going to block you and I'm going to go about my day. And it really isn't going to bother me. Trust me. I've been to hell and back in the last 2 years. And honestly, there's nothing anybody can say to me at this point that is going to disturb my peace. All right. So that's my example of being prepared, right? All right. So let's see. So you need to learn something. Maybe you're repeating a cycle. or you're learning that you have a pattern, and that, which is the same kind of thing, right? I was with my husband for 32 years. And so I didn't know that I had a pattern when it came to picking partners. And of course, to my surprise, when I lost my husband and I would go to pick a partner, I had a pattern. I did not know that. And so sometimes we have a pattern of picking people that aren't right for us, because of maybe some traumas that happen in our lives, right? And some of those patterns that you might learn while you're sitting in timeout is boundaries. I didn't know boundaries, right? Until one, because I didn't know who I was and I didn't love myself. And that all kind of goes hand in hand together. And I've said this on so many of my lives. Learning who you are and learning to love yourself goes hand in hand with almost everything you do in life. And so for me, you got to try no glasses challenge. Oh, you're back. I've been no glasses. I just have to have it to read my notebook. So stay tuned. I will go no glasses here in a minute, maybe. Anyway, if you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee and I'm from California. Welcome. So learning boundaries. And what does that look like, right? Not letting people disturb your peace. For me, I'm 51 years old and I don't care who you are. If you are disturbing my peace, you will no longer be in my life. That's called a healthy boundary, right? If you're going to disrespect me, you will not be in my life. I've learned the boundary of I love myself and I know who I am now, and I won't chase anybody to be in my life. That is a boundary. Sandra, thank you for the likes. I did see that. Not accepting breadcrumbs, right? Maybe you're in timeout, like I said, because you're learning that you have a pattern. And sometimes we have to go through those cycles a couple times, maybe a couple people before we learn those cycles. For me, it was learning boundaries, learning not to accept breadcrumbs, that what I now know my worth and I know what I deserve. And if I'm not getting what I deserve, then I'm sorry, I'm out. And I'm not sorry. So, learning who you are, like I said, is hugely important in the evolution of your life. If you want to evolve as a person and not have to worry about having validation from others, then you need to learn who you are. And like I said, that goes hand in hand with almost everything we do in life. Learning to have faith. For me, right now, I'm waiting for that next door to open, and I'm learning to go with the flow and learning to have faith that my divine team, the divine, the universe, God, whoever it is that you believe, creator, is going to take care of me. And so I just have learned to go with the flow. I apparently said that for a reason. I don't believe in coincidences, but learning to go with the flow, learning not to control everything, right? Something else that they like to teach us. Let's see. Learning to find your joy. That's another reason. Maybe you can't move on to that next period in your life because if you haven't learned to find your joy now, the divine creator, God, source, whatever it is you say or believe, isn't going to maybe give you that next step in your life if you haven't learned how to find your joy here. For me, I'm in that learning how to rest. I don't know how to rest. I'm learning and I'm getting there. But knowing what I know of my future, and it's going to get crazy. My guides keep telling me, Renee, you have to learn how to rest now, because when it starts to pick up and my life starts to speed up, I have to know how to rest. Because if I don't know now, when it's not picked up and I'm not going 100 miles an hour, I will not know how to rest when it does. Learning to find your passion. And this is kind of different than what I've been talking about. But I had a reading with a girl the other day, and she wanted to kind of know what was coming for her. And her guides, universe, God, whatever it was like, we're not going to tell you. All we're going to tell you is you need to find your joy. You need to find your passion. And when you figure out what that passion is, then sometimes that opens up the next door. That opens up the next chapter, right? So if you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. Jen, are there any comments coming through that I'm not seeing? Because I'm not seeing any. I'm seeing a lot of I can invite people, but no comments. So just making sure I'm not missing anything. If you are commenting and it's not coming through, I apologize. It's TikTok. I have no control. I have all my stuff off. They just do what they want to do. Pamela from Ohio, welcome. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. And so sometimes we feel stuck or we're put in timeout because they want you to learn your passion, right? For me, I was, like I said, I was in the timeout because my world of 32 years had crumbled. There was nothing left for me there, but that next door wasn't ready to open yet because I was being prepared for that. But I was also learning what my purpose was, right? And as soon as I put the puzzle pieces together for the purpose, then that next step came, right? And so that's really important. Texas. I'm in those same places in my life right now too. Yep. And a lot of us get put there, right? And it's learning to be patient. And I actually put out a reel on this last week, is learning not to have that tug of war. And this was a hard one for me because I'm an A personality. I like to control everything, and I'm learning not to control, right? Having that tug of war of, well, when's the next door going to come? And how come it's not coming? And when and why and how and all of that. But sometimes when you stop that tug of war of when and how and all of those things that you play tug of war with, of I want to know when it's coming and how it's coming and why it's not coming or why it is coming or whatever those questions are. When you stop with that tug of war, you'll find that you'll struggle way less, and it'll happen way quicker. That's what I found, at least in my situation. When my guides finally just said, you know what, stop struggling. Just wait for that next step. Do what we tell you to do, and it will come. And for me, it has worked out. For 2 years, my guides say, Renee, get online. I get online. Renee, make reels. I made reels. Renee, get on TikTok. I drug my feet for a month, right? Month came, my grandkids came. I said, can y'all help grandma get on TikTok? Because I didn't know how to do it. And I got on TikTok and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And they're like, you know what? Just do it this way. And then in July came and they're like, Renee, do a live. And I got on live and they're like, keep doing lives. And I kept doing lives. Renee, talk about this. Renee, do this. And every time they tell me to do something and I don't struggle and I don't have that tug of war, that next step comes so much quicker. I always feel life is assigning my purpose without asking my input. Well, and sometimes here's the thing, like in my case, before my husband unalived himself, I was not on the road to my purpose. I had to have a course correction. And sometimes we need a course correction depending on the choices that we have made. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. I was listening to somebody out there. But sometimes we need that course correction. For me, I was being very codependent on my husband. I became very, very codependent and was not on that right course. Sorry, I'm going to try and catch up. Kara, thank you for the heart so much. Let's see. Yes, I'm learning to stop doing that too, just trying to be still and trust. And that's hard. It is very hard. I will never tell you anything different. Thank you for the follow, Kara, too. I appreciate that. And I just want to say too, Pamela, you said without your input, know that you do have input. There are things in life that are assigned to us, I believe. I think when we come here, how I believe, and like I said, I'm not here to convince anybody. You're here to have your own opinion, but I believe when we come here, we have a soul contract and we sign a soul contract that these are the things that we want to learn. These are the things that we want to accomplish, right? But yet we are still given free will. So sometimes we make a choice that don't put us on that path to learning the things that we need to learn or the things that to that purpose, right? And so sometimes we do need a course correction, and sometimes they'll be pulling at you, no, come over here, and not take your input. But let me tell you right now, you have a whole divine team. besides source, God, creator, universe, whatever it is you believe there. But you also have angels, guides, ancestors, passed on loved ones, all of that here to help and support you. And so, you can give them your input. Just talk to them like your best friends, right? Because they are there. They're with you every day. But because we do have free will, there's certain things, they can't always step in. You have to ask, and say, hey, guide me. I just want some guidance today, or, I want you to walk with me today, or whatever it is. But also, here's another thing to think about. And this is something that was brought to my attention a couple weeks ago, right? You may have all of these goals and dreams maybe in your life. But the universe, God, creator, whatever it is, sometimes can't give you that if you're all over the place. Does that make sense? So if you're not very clear and vocalizing to God, universe, creator, your spirit team, exactly what it is you're wanting, to them, then they can't help you get that. Does that make sense? Because sometimes we're like wishy-washy. We're wishy-washy people, right? One day it's like, okay, I want to do this. And then the next day, oh, never mind, I'm not good enough for that. Because you're telling yourself, right? You're not challenging those, your belief system. And so, we're wishy-washy. We're all over the place. We're all over the place with our emotions. We haven't been taught how to control our emotions and control our thoughts. And so we're all over the place, and they don't know what to give you. So they might not be knowing what it is that you want, because you may be all over. And I'm not saying you are, I'm just saying this is a possibility. Maybe you're all over the place and they're like, I don't know what she wants. So we're just going to give her what we think she needs, because she's not clear with her intentions. Does that make sense? For me, at this point, after a couple weeks ago, when I was really hearing this and thinking about this, it's like, I am very clear now. I put it out into the universe. This is what I want. This is where I want to be. These are my goals. These are my aspirations. I will write a book. I will be a motivational speaker. I will, be a millionaire, whatever it is that you want, but you have to tell them and not be wishy-washy, because they're like, we really don't know what they want, because they don't even know what they want, right? So very clear intentions, put it out into the universe, tell them what you want, and be specific, because they can't give it to you if they don't know. Does that make sense? And there again, be patient, rest, give yourself self-care, evaluate yourself and your beliefs, right? There again, learning to evaluate those limiting beliefs. What is that old story, right? And that's where sometimes we're not clear, because like I said, we're not challenging those limited beliefs. Maybe growing up, you had a belief that you can't do something. You're not smart enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not whatever it is, right? Those are called limiting beliefs. And that's what holds us back, right? And that's what holds us sometimes in time out, because we're not challenging those beliefs. So when you feel yourself, if you do feel yourself having those limiting beliefs come up of, okay, one day you're like, yeah, I'm going to be a writer. And then the next day you're like, I can't be a writer, and you're all emotional. One, learn how to control your emotions. But two, learn how to control those limiting beliefs, that old story that keeps repeating in your head on repeat, the next day of, I can't be a writer. I can't spell. I'm not a good writer. They've given me the title to my books. And I'm like, they told me that 2 years ago. And I'm like, I am not a writer. You can ask my friend. I suck at punctuation. I'm the ... girl, but I know that I have it in me to write a book. But when you tell yourself that you're not capable, or you're not good enough, or you're not this, or you're not that, then one, you're confusing yourself, you're confusing your spirit team, you're confusing the universe, creator, whatever it is, with what it is exactly that you want. Right? Very relatable. Yes, I know. And that's why I'm here, because there's so many people walking around out there that, that have had loss or have had trauma, and we're not healing it. And so we're stuck in this perpetual cycle of, these beliefs that aren't true, right? These stories, these old stories that we keep telling ourselves, that, I'm not good enough, or I'm not pretty enough. I don't know how many of you are new here. If you're just hopping on, tell us who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee. So last year, I don't care about your typos. As long as I can read it, it's okay. But last year I entered Fab Over 40, and I just did it as a joke. The guy I was talking to at the time, I'm like, hey, should I enter this? And he was like, hey, yeah, you should go for it. And I was like, whatever. I don't stand a chance, right? Because I have those limiting beliefs. I had that old story repeating in my head that, sorry, it's glaring, it's driving me nuts. That I would never be able to be on a magazine. I would, that's just not right. That wouldn't be for me. I finished 8 out of 52 last year. So this year, my goal was I wanted to win. It's like, no, screw that old story. Screw those limiting beliefs. I am going to win this year, right? And so I entered the Fab Over 40 this year with the intentions, not as a joke like last year, but with the intentions of winning. And I placed number 2 out of 52 this year. So, you don't know what you can do unless you do it, right? My motto from last year is, if you don't try, you'll never know. If you, the only thing in life that you regret are the things that you never try or that you never go for. So I know I've really taken a lot of time on this limiting beliefs, but it's really important, and that's what keeps us stuck in that time out and in those cycles, right? So, okay, let me see if I missed anything. I think I got almost everything. Does anybody have any questions or anything they want to add to that? Am I missing any comments tonight? But just know, you are worthy. You are capable. You are smart. You are beautiful. You are amazing. You are amazing exactly the way the Creator made you. So never forget that. And if you needed reminding, send me an inbox and I will let you know. Okay. So yes, you have to advocate and be outspoken. Yes. And that's the thing is, you have to be your biggest cheerleader, right? We're taught not to cheerlead for ourselves because that makes us what? Pompous, proud, whatever. No, screw that. I'm a very humble person, but I love myself now. I know who I am. I love me, and I'm going to be my biggest cheerleader, because if I'm not, who is going to? Who is going to be your biggest cheerleader if you're not, right? And when you learn, like I said, it all revolves around you learning who you are and to love yourself. And once you do that, you don't need the world's outside validation. You learn to get out of these cycles, and then that will help push you forward out of this timeout or the stuck that we get in life. God is good all the time. You'll be my cheerleader, Veronica. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm sure there are many people that would be my cheerleader, but I'm just saying you should be your biggest cheerleader, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. You're so very welcome, Pamela. And I don't even want to try to say your name because I know I will slaughter it. But thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Okay, so while I'm waiting to see if there's any other comments that are coming in, I'm going to do my little thing here. So if you're not aware, I also have a YouTube channel. It's under Scorpio Medium. Yes, I do. It's under Scorpio Medium. So if you're not a subscriber over there, I would love it if you went over there to subscribe. You'll find all of my reels here over there also. The only difference is if you like my lives and maybe you missed one, you can catch it over there. I upload all my lives over there, except for my mini reads. I haven't been uploading all of those, but most of the time you'll find all of my lives uploaded over there. I am here Sunday through Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. That might change. I don't know yet. I'm still tinkering with that. But 6:30 Pacific time, Sunday through Wednesday, I try to be as consistent as possible, but I'm still human, guys. Life still happens. So Sunday through Wednesday, and I am not doing mini reads on Wednesday anymore. It's just things that are going on. I just can't do them at the moment. So until further notice, no more mini read Wednesdays. But I still do readings. So if you are interested in a reading, if you didn't catch that, I am a psychic medium. And so you can get a reading if you go down into my bio and send me an email. That's how I set those up. I do a half an hour for $30 and I do a full hour for $60. And so if you are interested in a reading with somebody who has crossed over on the other side, you can do that through my email. And I just started a new thing last week. It was kind of just a trial run. If you are going through grief or you need somebody to talk to, thanks, Veronica. If you are going through some kind of a loss and grieving, I am starting a Zoom meeting every Thursday. So if you're interested, I'm going to be uploading I can send you a link. I won't be able to upload it here. It will be on my Facebook and my Instagram. But so if you are grieving and you need a place to go, know that you are not alone. And I am starting that Zoom meeting on Thursday nights. And that is at 5:30 because I want to give the people on the East Coast plenty of time to be able to hop on too. That is a 40-minute thing. So, and you never have to talk. You're welcome to talk, but you never have to. You can stay muted. If you just need a place to come and feel not alone, you're welcome to come there. So DM me, send me an email if you want the link for that. That will continue to be the same link now. I finally figured out how to make that so it goes every week. Miss Technologically Challenged here figured it out by herself. So yes, and that's pretty much everything I have. Does anybody have any questions for me or anything tonight? Has anybody had a loss this week that we need to talk about? Or dealing with anything, need to vent about anything? Anybody? 5:30 Pacific time zone, correct. Yes, for the Zoom. That's Jen. She's my best friend and my moderator. And I love her dearly. She's a sister I never had, literally. All right, guys. Well, anybody going once? Going twice? All right, so hopefully all your questions are coming through. If you did have a question or you needed to talk to me about anything and it's not coming through, please send me a DM. Just know that if you do it at night, I might not get back to you till the next day. On that note, I hope y'all have a great night. I will be back here. So today's Monday, so I'll be back here tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Make tomorrow great because it's a choice. And until we meet again.